Everything in this man amazed. His youth that was impermissible for a military leader, and his soldier unpretentiousness, coolness, and purposefulness, the fact that he was a master of art of war and original tactics. And though he lost the Second Punic War between Carthage and Rome, the great Carthaginian military leader, Hannibal, remained invincible in the memory of future generations. In 246 BC, a son was born in the family of the prominent Carthaginian military and political leader, Hamilcar Barca. The baby was called Hannibal. That meant, "The god Baal is merciful to me." At that time, Carthage was a strong city-state in North Africa, but the Roman state hampered sea trade in the Mediterranean. Hannibal's father was a furious adversary of Rome. According to Titus Livy, the Roman historian, he brought up his sons like lions, setting them on Romans. Hannibal was only 9 years old when, during the sacrifice to Jupiter, he swore to hate Rome all his life. He went with his father to Spain, where the Carthaginians hoped to set up a reliable barrier between them and Romans. Later, the youth was given charge of all the cavalry, and at the age of 25, Hannibal became the commander-in-chief after his father and brother died. Hannibal's only image made during his lifetime, his profile on a Carthaginian coin, minted in 221 BC, dates back to this period. The historian Titus Livy wrote that Hannibal stood heat and cold with an equal patience. Not his pleasure, but his physical needs determined how much he would eat or drink. Many people often saw the commander wrapped up in a military cloak, sleeping on the ground among the soldiers. He was the first to join a battle and the last to leave the battlefield. In 219 BC, Hannibal captured silver mines in Spain that was friendly with Rome. The Second Punic War began. It is called so because the Romans named the Carthaginians Puns. In autumn 218, Hannibal's troops came up to the Alps. The Carthaginian military leader intended to do what the Romans considered impossible. He wanted to go through the highest mountains in Europe and invade Italy from the north. The crossing of the Alps was unusually difficult and lasted 2 weeks. The horses made holes in the thin crust of ice over the snow with their hoofs and found themselves in a snow trap. The war elephants fell into the abyss, carrying people with them. Then Hannibal addressed his soldiers with the following words: "These mountains are not only Italy's walls, they are also the walls of Rome. By passing over them, we will ensure a victory for us." Hannibal lost the half of his troops, but the aim was achieved, and the formidable Carthaginian army suddenly appeared in northern Italy. This sudden entry into the enemy's territory helped the Carthaginian commander Hannibal to force the Romans to change their plans hurriedly and shift from attack to defense. The Roman army fortified its position in the town of Arezzo, situated on the road to Rome and surrounded by the floods of the river Arno. But Hannibal didn't take the town by storm. He led his troops across the marshy lowlands where there wasn't a piece of dry soil. 4 days and 3 nights, the soldiers went waist-deep in water. They were able to rest only on the dead horses' bodies. Hannibal got a bad eye inflammation and later became blind in one eye. However, the Carthaginians managed to go round their enemy and found themselves on the road to Rome. When Hannibal won the battle at the Lake of Trasimene, panic rose in Rome. Cicero's words, "Hannibal ante portas," that is, Hannibal is before the gate, became a proverb. Then the cautious Roman military leader, Fabius Maximus, called Cunctator, the delayer, worked out some special tactics. He exhausted the Carthaginians using short encounters and long marches. Nevertheless, Hannibal was able to make the enemy begin the battle. In 216 BC, in Apulia, in the town of Cenne, now Monte de Cenne, a great battle took place. The Carthaginians utterly defeated the Roman army that was twice as large. The commander Hannibal gained one of the most grandiose victories in the history of the art of war in the ancient world. Now the road to Rome was open, but Hannibal didn't lead his army to the capital. One of his associates said, "Hannibal, you can win, but you can't use your victory." At that time, Scipio, a new Roman commander, landed his troops in Africa, Hannibal's motherland, and the Carthaginian rulers immediately called from Italy their best military leader who had won all the battles before. 42-year-old Hannibal returned to Carthage, but this time the Romans were lucky on the military front. At the battle near the town of Zama, Hannibal sustained his first defeat. Carthage agreed to make peace on the Roman terms and declared that Hannibal was to blame for all calamities the city suffered. The former commander had to flee. Remaining faithful to his oath given in the youth, Hannibal went on fighting against the Romans serving in the army of Antiochus, the Seleucid ruler. But the Romans said that they would make peace if Hannibal was given to them. Hannibal, persecuted by his enemies and defamed by his compatriots, spent the rest of his days a long way from his motherland in Bithynia, situated in Asia. One morning, the servants told Hannibal that the soldiers had surrounded his house. The commander didn't want the enemies to capture him alive and took poison. The historian Appian said that the road made by Hannibal's soldiers in the Alps existed 5 more centuries and had the name of the illustrious military leader. Hannibal's brilliant wins overshadowed his defeat, exile, and death in the memory of future generations.